Okay, today we're going to learn about 12 different watercolor techniques, and we're going to be practicing them. We're going to learn about wet and wet, flat, graded wash, dry brush, wet and dry, crayon resist, overlap wash, drip, salt, blotting, tape masking, and Sharpie. So over here I have all the supplies you're going to need for this to work. We have our container that has our brushes, our watercolor, as well as our palettes. It's going to be used for mixing our paints. You're going to need one of these sheets with the liquid watercolor on it. This watercolor has already been allowed to dry, and that way when you mix it with water it will turn to watercolor. We have the ones that look like this, a crayon, a Sharpie, and salt, because you're going to be needing that for your project as well. So what you're going to do is, since there's 12 different watercolor techniques, you are going to separate your page into 12 different spaces. So how you do that is going to be up to you. I would use pencil for this in case you need to erase. They could be curvy lines, they could be straight lines, you could use a ruler, you don't have to. So let's see where we're at so far. So far we're at 6. So we'll do one like this. Okay, we should be good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wonderful. So first I'm going to start out with our wet and wet wash. So to do wet and wet, you're going to need the watercolor open, and you're also going to need a brush and then the cup of water. Notice the brush has a lot of hairs. That's to hold all of the water for you. So it doesn't matter where you take from, but make sure you clean your brush in between. So we'll make an orange color. So I'm just using water to activate the color. Then I'm putting it into my palette. That way it actually starts mixing up. And I want to make more red-orange color, so I'm going to grab one of these red-pink colors and add that into it. You don't need to have a whole lot, but you do need to have some to start mixing up. Alright, so once that is done, we're going to do the first one is wet and wet. So for wet and wet, what you do is you take your brush, you just get water on it, no paint, and you're going to first paint it with water. That way it just wet, it makes the paper wet, and it allows you to put your paint right on top. So you shouldn't really be able to see it unless your water's dirty. Next up, wash your brush again, and you're going to grab your color and you're going to put your color straight on top. Notice that the color is going to be more fuzzy looking. The edges are not going to be really sharp. It's going to be just very light, almost cloud-like. So that's our wet and wet one. Our next one is going to be our flat wash. Flat wash is going to be done very similarly, but the goal of flat wash is to make yours all one color. So to do so, I'm just grabbing again from our watercolor paper. I'm grabbing this. I'm not adding any water yet. I'm just going to go up and down. And when you do that up and down, you can actually make it look as even as possible. We've already done this technique in acrylic painting, but for now we're going to do it in watercolor. And just be careful though, when you're at your edges it might blend together, so you want to just be careful with that. And you can go the opposite direction as well to try to get it as even as possible. Great. Next up I'm going to show you something called graded wash, and we're going to switch colors. We're going to switch over to here. So here's the same type of paint. I'm just going to grab a blue. Notice I'm taking it, putting it into my palette, adding water. Water makes this stuff work, so you have to make sure that you're doing that. And then for graded wash, our goal is to make it look from dark to light using our color. So to do that, you're going to just grab your color and you're going to put it straight on without adding water first. Next, you're going to grab more water and just take it and you're going to start pulling your color down. What will happen is as you pull your color, it will start going from dark to light. And it is a process. It's not just going to take 1 second. You might have to keep going over with another color on top of it to kind of blend it in. But the goal is for you to get an ombre effect, a dark to light. And you're going to try to fill your whole space as well. So that's our graded wash. You can kind of see that right there. Okay, dry brush. We've already done dry brush before. When we did our other painting techniques. So if you probably could guess this one, you're going to take your paints, you're going to get it on your brush, and then you're going to dry off your brush. And then when you paint with it, it's just going to give you kind of that light scratchy effect. This is really light. I'm going to try to go over it with another color real quick. Again, dry it off, and it'll be very scratchy. wet and dry. That one's very similar to flat wash. It's where you take the paint and you're just gonna apply it straight on the dry piece of paper. Notice the difference between this one and that one. This allows you to get much more crisp lines and even color, but it also is pretty permanent, meaning it's gonna be pretty saturated. Good. I'm gonna start the next one with the overlap wash. So for that one, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your paintbrush, you're gonna grab your color, and you're just gonna go in one direction with it, doesn't matter, and then we're gonna let this dry and come back to it at the end. If you overlap color on top, you're gonna be able to see that you can see your color through it, which is a nice surprise. So this is gonna be the start of our overlap wash, but we're gonna keep going with this one, all right? Our next one is gonna be our salt effect. So for salt, I'm gonna switch it up to some purple. Let's add that to the red, see where we get. You're gonna take your color, you're gonna paint it on. It could be one color, it could be multiple colors. It's gonna be up to you how you do that. Just take your time. You have to make sure that your paint is pretty wet for this part, okay? And then you're gonna actually take table salt. So that's what this is right here. And salt draws the moisture out of things. And it definitely does it for watercolor. So this is actually a two-step process. You put the salt on and then we wait. At the end, probably tomorrow when you come back in, you can actually push the crystals away and you'll be left with an effect just like over there, if you see, of more of a crystallized surface. If you use rock salt, you get bigger crystals. You can also use rice for this as well. Okay, so that's our salt effect, but we're just keep going. All right, blotting. So for blotting, you're gonna actually just paint your full thing. You can use multiple colors if you'd like. You could use one color, it's up to you. Before it dries, and this is the biggest trick, you're gonna take your paper towel and you're literally gonna blot parts of it away. What that does is it will remove some of the color from the surface and it will allow you to see the paper through there. It's also the best technique to use if you make a mistake, okay? Next one is our tape masking. So for tape masking, you're just gonna take a piece of this kind of masking tape. You have to make sure you use this as opposed to our other tape, which is the clear tape. You're gonna put it on, doesn't matter where you put it, but you're just gonna make sure that it attaches really, really nice with your finger. And then you're gonna paint over it. And as you could probably guess, what's underneath is going to be the color of the paper. You can take that off, you just have to let it dry in the meantime. So right now I'm just going straight over it and you're gonna see that it's gonna miss all of those spots that the tape is on, right? While we're on the masking, I also wanna show you the crayon resist. So for the crayon resist, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your crayon, this is a white crayon, and you're gonna color on whatever you'd like to color. So the cool thing is it's kind of a surprise because you can't really see where it's going. You can also use a colored crayon, but it doesn't have the same effect. And then when we paint over it, you're gonna be able to see is everywhere that I didn't color is gonna be blue, and then everywhere that my crayon touched is gonna be that wax resist, all right? Next up is gonna be my Sharpie. So since this is water-based, paint, Sharpies are alcohol based and they're actually permanent. So if you put Sharpie down, this poor guy is dying a little bit, but if you put Sharpie down first and you put watercolor on top of it, it's going to let the Sharpie show through and the watercolor is not going to move it at all. Now if you use a Crayola marker, like a water-based one instead, you're going to notice that it will definitely move, so just make sure that you take note of that. Our next one before we finish some of these off is going to be the drip effect. So I'm going to grab some more blue, mix it in. For dripping, you're going to need gravity, so I kind of saved that for the last so it didn't go all over everything. So what you're going to do is grab your color and you're just going to make little driplets right here, and then gravity is going to be your friend and also water. So you're going to add some water to your drops and just wait. You have to be patient. Eventually it will start falling down. Come on, guy. There we go. You can also do this with water first. It's going to be up to you. If you want the drip to stop, you just have to lay it back down, okay? Which is a really good thing. The last one we're going to go back to is this one right here, which is our overlap wash. I'm gonna use the purplish red to go over it. You're gonna notice that this stuff dries really, really fast, and because of that, you can do multiple layers very quickly. But you're gonna see here how you can see the color underneath. I'm gonna pull off this for our masking so you can see what that looks like. And then the last one, this one unfortunately I can't do anything with until it dries, but tomorrow when I would come in, I would just run this over with my finger and you're gonna see your crystals kind of appear. So that's it. These are the 12 I want you guys to practice. Good luck.